All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another one, y'all. All right, y'all, the ladies were killing it, man. The ladies were killing it this past Saturday, and then Saturday before that, I mean, we got what? Five finishes for WMMA across the last two cards. Shout out to this young lady right here, man. She kept it going. I mean, first Melissa Croton, then Stephanie Luciano, man. She goes in there, beats Ravena, Oliveira by rear naked choke. And that was the surprise, man. That was the surprise with this girl. I got to keep my eyes on her now because first I was thinking of her as just this explosive type of kickboxer and striker. But here, she mixes her game up, surprises Ravena Oliveira with the rear naked choke. I mean, it just came out of nowhere, right? She was taking over the fight, using her length, just doing whatever she wanted, just being explosive all around and being a good showman. And then, boom, she finishes Ravena Oliveira. Now, Ravena Oliveira, if you're not familiar with her, she made her debut like 2 years ago. I believe she had some injuries. She suffered her first her UFC debut was a loss to Tainira Lisboa, which she fought at bantamweight, which is crazy, right? She jumps down two weight classes, comes back at 115, and she does look the part. She does look the part of a straw weight. You know, Ravena Oliveira, she was never really like that big anyways, but she definitely looks the part as far as her size and everything. But in her movement, she didn't look, too skinny or, too weak. I think just with that time off, she didn't really have too much time to grow as a fighter. So in my opinion, I think she just looked a little too green and she was just stuck in one gear in this fight, So that just gave Stephanie Luciano a lot more confidence as well. Stephanie Luciano, I've seen her fight in the past, even on the Contender Series. And the girl's got style. She's got a style to her. The first round right away, I mean, Luciano, she was doing a good job of just using her length, just sticking out leg kicks like a good jab, sticking them to the body, throwing out good leg kicks, just keeping her range. Oliveira, looked like she was really having trouble finding that range. She could get out a good 1-2 every now and then, and she was timing Luciano a couple of times. She landed a few good 1-2s, but Luciano, I thought she was just building a nice lead with those, a variety of strikes and good leg kicks. She kept on touching the leg consistently, and then she would come back with that right hand, or she would just stick out that long leg to the body, of Oliveira. So the first round looked like she was just settling into a good rhythm of just using her strikes and putting on a striking clinic. The second round, Luciano did a really good job again of just measuring that range. Just continuing to just kind of snap Oliveira back and avoid the strikes too, just by eyeballing a lot of stuff. She wasn't really throwing too many jabs out. Luciano wasn't. She just has like a good eye too. That's another thing I like about her. Just watching her as a striker, like she knows how to step in, and as soon as Oliveira loads up and throws that 1-2, she's out. She's avoiding these strikes, and then she's using all these kind of little feints here and there to just continue to touch the lead leg, touch. She's touching Oliveira over and over with this leg kick. Then boom, out comes the right hand. So I like how she was mixing it up. Just a lot of awkward things she was doing, and then boom, she secures the round with a good takedown. She ends it with a takedown just to show that she can grapple as well. But going into the third round, I think Oliveira looked a little bit kind of frustrated. Like I said, she was stuck in one gear, and she was missing a lot of shots at this point. She was just kind of stuck throwing the basic shots, and she really couldn't get anything done. Luciano was just hitting with everything, whether it was the outside shots or the inside shots. She gets taken down again. But bounces back up. She's able to bounce back up. But what's crazy is just how Luciano was just switching gears here and starts to grapple more. So this kind of shows you that Oliveira was just outgunned, because usually when some fighters in here are getting out struck, they'll go for takedowns, right? They'll start either to panic or just go for a takedown. But Oliveira didn't even have that. So Luciano said, all right, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to grapple. I'm going to take you down. So she takes her down and, just shows in the half guard that, she's stronger and, she's controlling the top position. And then she creates some space, lands a big right hand, and then jumps on the back of Oliveira and secures the rear naked choke. So just a nice little mix of tools and art in her arsenal. I didn't really know she could do those things. Luciano, she was really turning it up in this fight. So yeah, I was definitely hyped up for her fight. As I was watching, I was like, okay, I like what this girl is doing. Her main thing looks like to be a striker, but she can switch it up in there. So yeah, moving forward, man, I definitely hope that Luciano tightens up her game, just becomes a little bit physically stronger and just keeps working on mixing it up like she's doing. and continues to fight at this length, man. Like if she can bully girls with just using her length and her movement, she could be like another Rose. I mean, she's kind of long and lanky like Rose, and also kind of, unpredictable like Rose. 1 minute she's boxing and striking with you, but then boom, she's got the jujitsu. So I think she just needs to keep on mixing her game up like that, and make herself a well-rounded fighter. And shoot, we could see her. Man, I really want to make a triple threat. All right, I really want to make a triple threat for 115. And if I had to, I'm hoping I can pick Thainera, Fatima Klein, and Luciano just after this performance from Luciano. So yeah, man, good performance from Luciano here. Moving forward, I would love to see her in like another long fighter like Bruna Brazil fight, or like a Demopoulos. I always throw those names out there. I like to see her fight somebody that can grapple and try to take her down. Who else is out there? Shoot. I know some people say they still want to see Karolina Kowalkiewicz, try to go out on a win. I mean, throw Karolina Kowalkiewicz in there with this unranked fighter. And if she can't get by this fighter, then that'll be it for Karolina. All right. So just give her somebody that can really test her game and kind of showcase her personality and just her overall showing. Because I think, we need these type of fighters for WMMA now. Now that Weili's already moved up, things are changing. We need a new crop of strawweights. And I'm hoping Luciano is that fighter. All right. But yeah, Oliveira, another fighter on a 2-fight losing streak, just like Thainera Lisboa. Definitely not going to say, oh, she needs to be cut. Definitely deserves another chance. She's been out 2 years. This is her first fight at 115. Give this girl another chance. Let's see her, fight some unranked fighters. Just match her up against somebody down here like Shauna Bannon. Shauna Bannon's coming off a loss. Shauna Bannon's a good name. Talita Alencar might be a name, but then again, Talita might be too strong for it too. But that Shauna Bannon is good. Shauna Bannon, Pooja Tomar, names like that would be good for Ravena Oliveira. Another name that might be good for Stephanie Luciano, Loma Labuni, right? So yeah, there's some fights to be made now. There's some good fights to be made. I got to do a little matchmaking Monday for this night ends. But guys, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Like I said, good performances all around from Melissa, Stephanie, and Manon this weekend. So yeah, I'm out, y'all. Peace.